What's going on, guys? It's Brandon here today, and today is going to be a longer kind of video. I'm not sure how long, but that's because we're going to be doing a sit-and chat. And what exactly that is there's a topic that's come up. We're going to talk about it in full, and we'll see how this goes. I saw one strand of hair there. That was unfortunate. But, so today, we're going to talk about Stan Bowman, as many of you probably would have figured out I probably would have talked about by now. Haven't gotten around to doing a video yet, but here we are. Stan Bowman is named the Blackhawks GM in July 14th, 2009. Through his tenure, he fired Joe Quenneville on November 6, 2018. He also brought in Jeremy Colleton on that same day. He became president of hockey operations while also continuing his GM job on December 16, 2020, and he was finally relieved of his job on October 26, 2021, but not because of the moves he made as GM, because of the cover-up of the 2010 sexual assault incident between Kyle Beach and Brad Aldrich, who was a video coach for the Chicago Blackhawks. Of course, the fallout of all that, that's a whole separate thing. I've done a video on that a couple of years ago now, because that's how long ago it was. But as of now, Bowman and Quenneville were able to get jobs. It was a couple weeks ago now that met with Gary Bettman, and they were reinstated into the NHL. And Stan Bowman has been hired by the Edmonton Oilers for their GM role. Shocking, to say the least, for pretty much everyone, including Blackhawks fans. So we're going to go over his moves today. We're not going to talk about anything about the 2010. I've done that video before. And it doesn't, honestly, I don't think I could do it justice for talking about it even more than it already has. Everything's already come out. Although the one thing I did hear was that Stan Bowman called Kyle and told him he was getting the job in Edmonton. Why? Why? I don't get that whatsoever of why that. This guy ruined your life. Was part of the reason your life was ruined. And then he calls you saying, hey, I got another job as the Edmonton Oilers GM. I don't know about that one. So we're going to go through his draft history. We're going to go through his trades. We're going to go through his signings. We're going to go through his waivers. Pretty much everything involvement in his time as GM. So we'll start with drafting. Well, he takes over for the 2010 draft. So let me scroll down to there. I got my phone out here. So 2010. It's going to be a long video, guys. So grab some popcorn. At 24th overall in the first round, he takes Kevin Hayes, who refused to play for the Chicago Blackhawks, leading to my hate for Kevin Hayes. So he never plays a game for the Hawks. He ends up signing with the Rangers. At number 35, he took Ludwig Rensfeldt. Never heard of him. At number 54, he took Justin Hall. That pick was obviously moved to Toronto. Number 58 took Kent Simpson, who was a goalie. Number 60, he took Stephen Johns, who had some hype around him. I remember Johns throughout the years never could develop into an NHL defenseman. At number 90, he took Joachim Nordstrom. He won a Stanley Cup with the Blackhawks in 2015. At 120, he took Rob Flick. On 151, Mirko Hovland. 180, Nick Matson. And 191, Matt Carruth. No notable names there. We move on to 2011, where at number 18, he has his first bust in the first round. Mark McNeil. Honestly, I never heard of the guy until I was searching this video up, or researching for this video. Then at number 26, he redeemed himself with the pick he got when he traded Troy Brouwer for a first. That pick ends up becoming Philip Deneau, and he screwed that whole situation up too. Number 36, he took Adam Clendenning, who played in the NHL a little bit. Number 43 is his big hit, though. He gets Brandon Saad at number 43. Number 70, he gets Michael Paliota, played a few games. Number 79, he took Klaus Dahlbeck, who also played a few games. 109, he took Maxim Shalunov. At 139, he hits again, though. He gets Andrew Shaw. 169, he's Sam Hardeen. 199, Alex Broadhurst. 211, Johan Matson. Overall, he gets Saad and Shaw and Deneau. That's his draft recap. 2012, at number 18, he gets Teuvo Teravainen. Good move. Second round at number 48, he takes Dylan Fournier. Never heard of him. The third round at 79, he takes Chris Kalnin. Nope. Garrett Ross at 139. Nope. Travis Brown at 149. Nope. 169, Vincent Hinostroza. Good pick. Hinostroza, I think, is underrated. He can put up points, which is why I wonder why he doesn't get. I wonder if he's kind of like the Daniel, like the off-brand Daniel Sprong type thing. 191 Brandon Whitney, never doing anything, and then 199 Matt Tompkins, who played one game with the Blackhawks. I remember a couple seasons ago as an emergency goalie, and I know he won some games with Tampa this previous year. He was also in Dallas, I believe, for a little bit. 2013, at number 30, he takes Ryan Hartman, and that's a very good draft pick right there for that value. He takes Carl Dahlstrom at number 51. Never really developed that much. John Hayden, who's with the Seattle organization, at number 74. Played a bit. 111, Robin Norrell. Nothing. 121, Tyler Mott, who eventually is traded away, but good pick there. 134, Luke Johnson. 181, Anthony Lewis. And 211, Robin Press. Nothing much there. 2014, Nick Schmaltz is taken at number 20. Not bad. Matt Lacapelli, 83, nothing. Bo Starrett, 88, nothing. Fredrik Olofsson, the most common Swedish name I've ever heard, at number 98, nothing. Luke Snuggerud at 141, nothing. Andreas Soderberg at 148, nothing. 178, Dylan Sakura. He played a bit in the NHL. Ivan Nalimov at 179, nothing. Jack Ramsey at 208, nothing. 2015, he takes Graham Knott with his first pick at number 54. Dennis Gilbert, he played a bit in the NHL. I believe he's with Calgary right now at number 91. Or did he get signed by Buffalo? I feel like he got signed by Buffalo. 121, he took Ryan Shea. Nothing there. Radovan Bondra at 151. Nope. Roy Radke at 164. Yoni Tulola at 181. And John Dahlstrom at 211. Not a very good draft. When the best guy on the board is Dennis Gilbert, the 2015 draft could be forgotten. 2016, no first-round pick, but they get the equivalent of one in Alex DeBrincat at number 39. And then they get Chad Chris, who never developed, at 45. At 50, they get Archer Kayumov. Wouter Peters at 83. Lucas Carlson played a bit, I believe he's with the Florida organization now, but I feel like he went to somewhere else. I don't remember where. At 110. Nathan Noel, 113. Nope. Matthias Frum, 143. Nope. Blake Hillman at 173. Nope. And Jake Rizek, I don't know, at 203. Nope again. There's a few good picks in those later rounds, but overall, it's not been much. 2017, at number 29 in the first round, they take Henri Jokiharju. Jokiharju depends on your perspective. People will say he's good because he's in the NHL. He's with the Buffalo Sabres. Good bottom 4, bottom 2 defenseman. There's not really that much upside there, but he has an NHL job. However, as a first-round pick, people are going to say, and of course, what did we trade him for? 1-for-1 with Alex Nylander. At number 57, they take Ian Mitchell, who they just shipped out a couple years ago now to Boston. That was at 57. Number 70, Andre Mayakin. That's a long last name at number 70, but no. Evan Barrett at number 90. Nope. Tim Soderlund at 112. Nope. 119, Rupe Livanen. Nope. Parker Fu at 144. Nope. Jakob Galvis played a few games in the NHL, including one game I went to at 150. Hasn't really developed since then. Joshua S. at 215. Nothing there. 2018, they blow this one twice. Adam Boqvist at 8, Nick Beaudin at 27. Both complete flops. Boqvist is on a league min deal in Florida, I believe now. I believe Beaudin, he either went to Europe or he's still in Montreal. Number 69, Jake Weiss. Nothing. Nicholas Nordgren at number 74. Nope. Number 120, they get Philip Kurashev, who's currently on the roster, so that's a good pick there. You can say this pick is pretty influential in terms of what it got traded for. At number 139, they take Mikhail Hakkarainen. If that name sounds familiar, that's who they traded for Marc-Andre Fleury, and Vegas immediately bought out. Alexis Gravel at 162, and then Josiah Slavin at 193. So Josiah Slavin played in the NHL for a bit. Kurashev's still playing, but Boqvist and Beaudin bust right there. 2019, they take Kirby Dach at number 3, and I will not say Kirby Dach is a bust. He was fine in Chicago until, I'd say, his 3rd year, and then he still had upside, and then they got rid of him. They got rid of him at the draft for whatever reason. I mean, it helps because they ended up getting Bedard eventually. But in Montreal, he just cannot stay healthy. He's had injury issues, he's had ACL, concussion, what you can name it. He's had a very unlucky career so far, so best of wishes to Dach. I still have his shirt. Alex Vlasic at number 43 is on the roster. Good pick. 105, Michael Templai. 123, Antti Sarala. 167, Dominic Bassi. 194, Cole Moberg. Some of these guys I'm sure have not debuted in the NHL yet, or this Templai and Sarala I know from the NHL 24 franchise mode. But some of these guys are still waiting to debut in the NHL. 2020, number 17, Lucas Reichel. Say what you want about Reichel, he's still in the NHL, barely. Still, he's got to have a year from heaven, because other than that, he's done. Number 46, Drew Commesso. Good pick right there. He looks like he's going to be the goalie of the future for the Hawks. Number 79, Landon Slaggert, who played in a bunch of games last year. Wyatt Kaiser at 81. 110, Michael Krutel, who was a guy in franchise mode, lower overall. Isaac Phillips at 141. Yup. Chad Yetman at 172. Did not know him. 188, Louis Crevier. So they get Kaiser, Phillips, and Crevier all in that draft, along with Commesso, Slaggert, and Reichel. That's 6 guys who've played in the NHL right there already. And then the last year he was GM for 2021, he takes Nolan Allen at number 32, first ever 32nd overall pick in the first round. And Allen has not debuted in the NHL yet. Whether he gets a chance this year, we'll see. Colton Dach at 62, he had injuries in the minors, so hopefully he can get that turned around. Tage Harding, never heard of him. Ethan Del Mastro has played a few games at 105. So Harding at 91 and 105, Del Mastro. Victor Sternborg at 108. 172, Ilya Safonov. 204, Connor Kelly. And 216, Jalen Lupin. That concludes his draft history. Say what you want about that. If you want to take a track of, want to get to a point system there. In terms of NHLers, a lot. In terms of NHLers that got traded away before they reached their primes, a lot. But that's how the Hawks roll. That's why people consider Bowman has ruined the franchise, because he traded away all their future. He traded away Hartman. He traded away Teravainen. He traded away Panarin. Well, we'll get to Panarin. There are a lot of moves he made that, in terms of making them better now, they ruined the longevity that the Hawks could have had. They could have been good for so many more years. Get rid of Bickle somehow. You don't have to give up Teravainen to do it. Do something. There's always a way. That's how I see it. There's always a way. And then when we get to trades, we'll see that he's not that horrible with trades either. Some of them he's in a very stuck situation, especially when he gets into the office. And there's other times where later on in his career, that's when it really falls off. We'll go over the trades. There's a lot of trades. So October 7, 2009, traded Aaron Johnson to Calgary for Calgary. That's a nothing trade. This one's a good trade. February 10th, 2010, he trades Cam Barker to Minnesota for Kim Janssen for depth, who never ended up playing, and Nick Leddy. So Leddy they get for Cam Barker. Barker was a bust at number 3 overall. Although he did have a good 2009 season, and I think they kind of gave up on him, which after 6 years you kind of have to give up on someone. But I feel like Barker could have been better depth than someone like, I don't know, who they have, like Jordan Henry. They could have kept Barker over Henry. I would have rather had Barker over Henry. I mean, not that Henry was bad, but I feel like Barker was better than Henry. March 1st, traded Joe Fallon for Hannu Toivonen and Danny Richmond, whatever. March 2nd, 2010, he traded future considerations to Anaheim for Nick Boyden. Boyden ends up being on the championship team. And then the collapse of the Hawks begins. The 2010, they lose 11 guys. And he can't really help a lot of it because of the moves Dale Talon made. And that's a whole controversy that my dad even said at the time. It seemed like Dale Talon was kind of set up to fail, and that the paperwork got lost on purpose so that he would end up getting out of the job and leading the way for Bowman, which is a conspiracy, sure. Is it true? Probably not. Just that seems like kind of outrageous. June 20th, 2010, he trades Chris Versteeg and Billy Sweat to Toronto for Victor Stahlberg, Felipe Paradise, and Krista DeMonico. Stahlberg and Versteeg kind of swap places, so I'll call that kind of even. June 23rd, 2010, he trades Dustin Byfuglien, Ben Eager, Brent Sopel, and Akeem Aliu for Atlanta for Marty Resner, Joey Crabb, Jeremy Morin, a first and a second. That first and second end up becoming Kevin Hayes and Justin Hall, neither of whom play a game for the Hawks. So really the best thing they got out of that was Jeremy Morin. Yeah. They gave away 3 roster players, including one that could have been a Hall of Famer if he stayed in Chicago. That's one of those times where you got to keep Bufflin. You give away Brouwer, you give away someone else who stayed, Kopetsky. You keep Brouwer at all costs. Not Brouwer, you keep Bufflin at all costs because he's part of the future there. And he would be a phenomenal piece at Edmonton. Sorry, I got allergies today. There we go. June 24th, 2010, he trades Colin Frazier to Edmonton for a 6th-round pick. Frazier was a depth forward, nothing much there. June 25th, the Hawks trade up the pick that ends up becoming Brock Nelson to the Islanders for Ludwig Rensfeldt and Ken Simpson. They give up Brock Nelson, they could have had that pick. That's a video for another day. What picks did they have that they could have had? Of course, you don't know who's going to be drafted where, but it'd be interesting to look at who they gave up on and what their team could have looked like instead of what it was. They end a more second-round pick from Brad Ross. They end up flipping a second-round pick for Jimmy Hayes. Rest in peace, but he's not worth a second-round pick. June 25th, the Maple Leafs traded their second-rounder in 2010 back to Calgary, back to Toronto. Traded the Toronto Maple Leafs second-round pick back to Toronto for the Flames second-round pick, as well as a third-round pick. Those picks become Brandon Saad and Michael Peliota, so they would get that Saad there. July 1st, Andrew Ladd is traded to Atlanta for Ivan Wisniewski and a second-round pick. They were cap constraint. That becomes Adam Clendenning. Overall, Ladd for Wisniewski in a second. I'd give Ladd for a second. That's fine. Wisniewski doesn't end up doing much. Resner to Florida for Jeff Tate, whatever. Good move here. February 9th, 2011, Jack Skilly, Hugh Jesseman, a couple of busts, and David Pacan to Florida for Michael Frolik and Alexander Salak. Frolik ends up becoming a good third-line piece for that 2013 team. Traded Ryan Pulteney in a second for Chris Campoli. People know how I feel about Campoli. June 24th, trades Troy Brouwer to Washington for a first. That ends up becoming Philip Deneau. Was good until it wasn't. June 25th, 2011, trades Brian Campbell to Florida for Rostislav Olej, who was a bust. Where have I heard this before? Traded negotiating rights for Kopetsky for a conditional 7th, and if Florida signs him, and they did. Traded the conditional 7th pick from Kopetsky deal to Buffalo for negotiating rights to Steve Montador. Rest in peace. Traded defenseman Brian Connolly to Calgary for center Brendan Morrison. Morrison was a veteran to come in at the deadline. Traded February 27th, 2012. Traded a second, which became Zach Sanford, and a third, which became J.C. Lippin in the 2013 draft to Winnipeg for defenseman Johnny Oduya. Good move to get Oduya. They trade John Scott on February 27, 2012 to the Rangers for a 5th. I can't believe they got a 5th for John Scott. Pick swap right there. Nothing there. April 1st, 2013, traded a 4th-round pick to San Jose for center Michael Handzus. That's a win. That's an absolute win for what Handzus brought as a second-line center. June 30th, 2013, he trades Dave Bolland for a second and a 4th-round pick. A second and 2 4th-round picks. So they get a good few picks. Of those picks, Carl Dahlstrom's the only one that has a name recognition. Let's see. June 30th, 2013, they trade Michael Frolik to Winnipeg for a 3rd and a 5th. John Hayden and Luke Johnson become those picks. July 16, 2013, they trade Daniel Carcillo to LA for a conditional pick. That ends up becoming nothing. November 14, 2013, Hayes and Olsen, Jimmy Hayes and Dylan Olsen are traded to Florida for Chris Versteeg and Philip Lefebvre, and Versteeg comes back to Chicago right there. That's the thing Bowman did. He tried to get the gang back together. Versteeg comes back. Well, you're going to see Ladd come back. We're going to see Saad come back. We're going to see Shaw come back. We're going to see Sharp come back. Yeah, that's the kind of thing it was. Nothing there. February 6, 2014, trades a 4th-round pick. That became Igor Shesterkin in the 2014 draft to the Islanders for Peter Regan and Pierre-Marc Bouchard. Imagine if the Hawks had Shesterkin. Go from Crawford to Shesterkin. It makes you want to tear your hair out when you see this kind of stuff. Nothing there. Traded Brandon Peary to Florida for Panthers third and their fifth. Can't believe they got that much for Peary because Peary never developed. Traded a second-round pick to Phoenix for Runblad and Brisebois. A second for Runblad and Brisebois? That's a horrible deal. Pick swaps. Traded Brandon Bollig to Calgary for a third. How you get a third for Brandon Bollig, that's a fleecing by Stan Bowman right there. And then he follows that up with trading Nick Leddy and Kem Simpson to the Islanders for TJ Brennan and Ville Polka, as well as the rights to Anders Nielsen. They gave Nick Leddy away for nothing. This is why people can't stand Bowman. This is what made people, they look at all of his bad stuff that was really bad, and they kind of forget about all like the minor good stuff he did. And it's such as this one. Not the trading of Jeremy Morin to Columbus. Morin would come back a couple times as well. But January 29, 2015, Adam Clendenning is traded to Vancouver for Gustav Forsling. Good move until they don't do anything with Forsling. Nothing there. February 27th, 2015, acquired defenseman Kimmo Timonen from Philadelphia for a second-round pick and a conditional pick in 2016, which became a second. 2 seconds for a 40-year-old defenseman who did barely play. Oh my gosh! That's the kind of... It drives you nuts. It drives you nuts as a fan to see like what you give up. February 28, 2015, traded defenseman Klaus Delbeck in a first in the 2015 draft to Arizona for center Antoine Vermette. They were able to do that with the Patrick Kane LTIR space. That's where that comes from, where the Hawks are the first team to do the LTIR thing. I have no issue with the LTIR thing, I'm going to be honest here. The Hawks did it, sure, at a much smaller scale than Tampa did it. Vegas did it. Of course, I'm a Vegas fan. Yeah. Yeah. So Vermette, good move there. Vermette he scores some big goals, including a double overtime winner against Anaheim. Gets the winner in Game 1 against Tampa. Good pick. Good move by there. March 2nd, 2015, they get Andrew Desjardins from San Jose from Ben Smith, the Hawks legend himself, in a conditional 7th. They acquired forward Ryan Haggerty from the Rangers for Ranta. Say what you want about Ranta this season, but he was great when the Hawks were originally developing him. They had Crawford, and then they had Ranta and Darling doing a 3-goalie situation. That's how good the Hawks' goaltending was back then, because Darling was pretty good at the time. June 30th, 2015, the Hawks acquire Artem Anisimov, Jeremy Morin again, Corey Tropp, and Mark O'Donnell, as well as a 4th in the 2016 draft, from Brandon Saad, Alex Broadhurst, and Michael Paliota. Broadhurst and Paliota are wash-offs. It's really a trade for Anisimov and Saad, 1-for-1. And Anisimov has some very good years with the Hawks. I honestly am fine with that deal, simply because Anisimov, Kane, and Panarin that would become ended up working out really well. But for Saad, wish he could have stayed, because then what would have happened later wouldn't have happened. Liam Coughlin from Edmonton for goaltender Nielsen. That's nothing. July 10th, 2015, a trade that paid me as a kid. Hawks acquired Trevor Daley and Ryan Garbutt from Dallas for Patrick Sharp and Stephen Johns. Garbutt was an alright bottom sixer. Daley did not do well in Chicago. We don't talk about Trevor Daley's time in Chicago. Patrick Sharp, he ends up having a really good first year in Dallas and a horrible second year in Dallas. And then he comes back. Stephen Johns, there he is, never developed. September 11th, 2015, acquired defenseman Dennis Robertson and Jake Massey, as well as a 5th in 2017. For Chris Versteeg, Joakim Nordstrom, and a 3rd-round pick. They gave up more than they actually acquired. Versteeg, Nordstrom, those are 2 roster players. A 3rd for a guy that I've never heard of, a guy that I've never heard of, and a 5th. After those first 5 years, Bowman's really questionable. Acquired Rob Scuderi from Pittsburgh for Trevor Daley on December 14th, 2015. And I didn't even know Scuderi. I don't think Scuderi even put on the uniform. Maybe he did, I don't know. January 3rd, 2016, this is a win. Richard Panik for Jeremy Morin, 1-for-1. Panik goes on to play very well with Jonathan Toews on his line. That Panik-Toews Hossa line was very good. Then you had Kane, Anisimov, Panarin. So overall, those were a very good, solid top 6 right there. They get Yuri Sekic from Anaheim for Ryan Garbutt on January 21st, 2016. Nothing there. February 25th, 2016, Hawks acquired Andrew Ladd again, and Matt Frazier and Jay Harrison from Winnipeg for Mark O'Donnell, a 1st and a 3rd. Ladd had a good run that second time with Chicago, especially at the end of the regular season. I believe he had like 14 points in like 16 games or something. In the playoffs, he only scored 1 goal. So, yeah. February 26, 2016, the Hawks acquired Christian Ehrhoff for Rob Scuderi. I had no clue Ehrhoff even played, but I didn't even think he played in the Hawks uniform. And if he did, I forgot about it. February 26, 2016, this is one of those that you want to tear your hair out. Dale Weiss and Thomas Fleischman are acquired for Philip Deneau and a second. Philip Deneau gone just like that for Dale Weiss and Thomas Fleischman. Would Deneau have developed into what he is now in Chicago? He could have. You never know. But it's painful. Nothing there. Nothing there. June 15, 2016, the Rangers get a second-round pick, or the Hawks acquire a second and a third for Teuvo Teravainen and Brian Bickle. This is where the teardown begins. Everyone that had any sort of value that made the Hawks elite was just shipped out. Teravainen with the youth was gone, and he wouldn't be the first. He'd be. I mean, Saad for Anisimov, you're replacing a need there. That's fine. Deneau gone. Teravainen gone. We're gonna see more guys gone. I need to pause the video right here, actually. I'll be back in just a moment. Sorry about that. So let's see. Nothing pick trading there. February 24th, 2017, Hawks acquired Thomas Yurko for a third-round pick. A third for Yurko. Yep. February 28th, 2017, they reacquired Oduya, who came back a couple times, from Dallas for Mark McNeil. Remember that 2011 first-round pick? They finally got rid of him here. And a conditional fourth. Oduya ends up coming back from the deadline, and he's fine. It's Johnny Oduya. You know what you're getting. Sam Carrick was a Hawk for a time, apparently. Nothing there. April 28, 2017, they trade Scott Darling to Carolina for a third, which is good value for what happened to Darling after. He was never the same after he left Chicago. And then June 23rd, he pisses Joel Quenneville off when he trades Nicholas Hjalmarsson to Arizona for defenseman Connor Murphy and Laurent Dauphin. Dauphin had a few games here and there, didn't really develop much. Murphy for Hjalmarsson makes sense in terms of it was kind of the same thing. Hjalmarsson was an older, more experienced veteran defenseman. Murphy was the younger defenseman, so he's trying to get younger here by replacing but you can't replace Nicholas Hjalmarsson. That's the thing. He was a one-of-a-kind guy, and Murphy, as good as Murphy can be, he will never replace Nicholas Hjalmarsson, and we're still seeing that now. June 23rd, 2017, this is the move that ruins all of his reputation. Artemi Panarin, Tyler Mott, and a sixth are gone for Brandon Saad, Anton Forsberg, and a fifth. Forsberg is now an NHL goaltender, not with the Hawks. He played with the Hawks, but not very long. Saad comes back for 3 years, but Panarin ends up in Columbus, and then now he's with the Rangers. That's one of those things where kind of like Buffalo, you do whatever you can to keep Panarin. Whether that's getting rid of Hossa, who didn't end up playing the next year, getting rid of whoever, sell off half the team, but you keep Panarin. I would have given up Taves for Panarin. Of course, Taves doesn't have his huge point scoring year until 2019, which I'll get to what I think about that. But trade June 23rd, 2017, he traded a first-round pick in the draft. That became Jake Ottinger in 2016. He traded down to take Jokiharju, and as well as a third-round pick that became a nobody. He took Jokiharju over Ottinger. Do you know the definition of insanity type stuff right here? Marcus Kruger goes to Vegas for future considerations. Kyle Bond to Montreal for Andreas Martinson, who played a few games. January 10th, 2018, he trades Richard Panik and Laurent Dauphin to Arizona for Anthony Duclair and Adam Clendenning. Duclair did not fit in Chicago. It's kind of like a Trevor Daley situation where some places he works, like Pittsburgh and Dallas, and some places he doesn't, like Chicago. Duclair did not work in Chicago, and he did not play very long there. Dauphin bends it back and forth with Arizona and Montreal. Panik kind of fell off near the 2018. Anisimov and Panik both kind of fell off eventually. I think Panarin leaving really... Panarin and Hossa both leaving lost a piece of the Hawks. Hossa, of course, was getting older, but he was on that first line. Panarin provided skill, so it became Saad, Tays, Panik, and that's just not the same when you... It was used to be Saad, Tays, Hossa, and Panik cannot replace Hossa, obviously, and Saad cannot replace Hossa either. February 16, 2018, Ville Poca, just like that's gone to Ottawa for Christy Domenico. Weren't they traded? Weren't they both on the Hawks at one point? February 19, 2018, they trade Michael Kempney to Washington for a third, and Kempney becomes a champion in Washington, but now he's out of the league. February 26, 2018, he trades Ryan Hartman in a fifth to Nashville for Victor Ejedsel, who never developed, a first that became Nick Beaudin, and a fourth. Wasted of Ryan Hartman right there. Right there is horrible asset management. You give up Hartman for nothing. Ends up being nothing. Trades Tommy Wingles to Boston for a fifth. That's purely Boston wants a rental. We give them that. Because the Hawks are out of the playoffs at this point. This is 2018. Nothing there. Nothing there. Tanner Caro to Vancouver for Michael Chaput. Caro ends up in Dallas. I didn't even think he played this last year. Trades goaltender JF Berube to Columbus for Jordan Schroeder. Nothing there. July 12, 2018, he trades Marian Hossa's contract. Vinny Hinostroza, who's actually good. Jordan Osterley in a third to Arizona for Kruger back. Kruger comeback was not good. Entwistle, who's still with it. He's just signed. He just left the team. Jordan Maleta, Andrew Campbell in a fifth. Gave up Hinostroza for nothing, essentially. Hinostroza and Osterley are the only two there still in the NHL. Entwistle is, but Entwistle is a border fourth-line minor leaguer guy. November 25th, 2018, he trades Nick Schmaltz to Arizona for Dylan Strome and Brendan Perlini. So, this deal depends on your perspective. They lost Strome for nothing. They trade Schmaltz for Strome. Therefore, you probably like Schmaltz better. Strome, I think, has that more upside. It could be the better player, but Schmaltz did have an 8-point game in his career. Overall, if you could get both of those guys, that's a move where I would have traded, I don't make that move. I would have kept Schmaltz. So let's think about this. Hinostroza, Schmaltz, Deneau, Teravainen, Hartman, Panarin. That's 6 guys you could have built a team around right there, along with that. You don't acquire Brandon Saad. You don't acquire Dylan Strome. You don't make some of these moves and you're a better team. It's as simple as that. December 30th, 2018, Brandon Manning and Robin Norwell to Edmonton for Drake Caggiula and Jason Garrison. I'll give that to a win because Caggiula did play well with Chicago. Not fantastic, but well. And Brandon Manning ends up trying to be on the same team as the same guy he tried to kill when he was in Philadelphia and Connor McDavid. February 18, 2019, the Hawks traded Darren Radish to the Rangers for Peter Holland. Nice one there, Scotty. Or not Scotty, Stan. Nice one there, Stan. Darren Radish, good defenseman in Tampa right now. Nothing there. June 15, 2019, they traded Dominic Cahoon to in a fifth that became Akurati, not Aturati, for the Penguins for Oli Mata. So Cahoon ends up going to Europe, and Mata was the best player in that trade. I'll give the Hawks that win. June 22nd, they trade John Hayden to New Jersey for John Quenneville. I never liked John Quenneville, I'm going to be honest. I like John Hayden more. Although both are like fourth-line center kind of depth guys. June 24th, 2019, he trades Anton Forsberg and Gustav Forsling to Carolina for Calvin DeHaan and Alexei Sarala. They gave up a solid goalie who was playing backup to Crawford, which they didn't need to do. And they gave up Forsling, who just signed an 8-year deal worth $55 million. Was it? No, not $55 million. I don't know how much money. 5.5 times 8, that's how much he's making. And then July 9th, 2019, they trade Henry Jokiharju to Buffalo for Alex Nylander. It's at this point where fans think Bowman's lost it. Everything, all the picks that they drafted over the time to keep this thing going, to keep the Hawks in the playoffs, gone. Everything they got in that actually worked out for them, like Forsberg or Forsling, or they just kind of magically appeared to them, gone. You don't trade for Calvin DeHaan, you don't get that deal, you use that cap space, you get Forsling, you keep him other stuff. It's frustrating as all hell to look at this, and every team has this with their own GM. Vancouver looks at Jim Benning. Edmonton looks at Peter Chiarelli. And this Edmonton, this is what you're getting. You already had Chiarelli, and you had a lot of mismanaged over the last decade. Ken Holland was good. Overall, whatever you say, Ken Holland He improved the team year by year, and they made it to the final this year. And they could have won the Stanley Cup. They could have won it the last 3 years. Unfortunately, they also had other good teams they had to go through. Alexei Sarala then is flipped to Panthers for Ian McCoshen for nothing. So it's really just Forsberg and Forsling for DeHaan, who ends up leaving in free agency eventually. October 27, 2019, Brendan Perlini to the Red Wings for Alec Regula. Regula plays a few games. He was traded to Boston with Ian Mitchell for Taylor Hall and Nick Foligno. Nothing there. February 24th, they trade Eric Gustafsson to the Calgary Flames for a third-round pick. Of course, this is the year of the COVID happens. And they trade Leonard, they trade Gustafsson, without thinking they're not going to be in the playoffs, of course. And then they really could use those guys in the playoffs. Of course, Leonard ends up going to Vegas, ironically. But Gustafsson, he had a phenomenal 2019 season, and he could not follow that up in 2020. February 24th, 2020, Robin Leonard is traded to Vegas for Malcolm Subban, the rights to Slava Demon, and a second. That's what they got for Robin Leonard. Leonard was having a fantastic season. Leonard did really well with the Islanders. He comes in on 1 year with Chicago. And then they give him for Malcolm Subban. No disrespect to Malcolm Subban, but the Hawks were supposed to be going into a rebuild. You get picks. You don't just get a second-round pick for a goalie that Vegas... They had a tandem of Fleury and Leonard then, and they still didn't win. September 28, 2020, they trade Dylan Sikura to Vegas for Brandon Peary, who comes back after all these years. Swap of sevens. October 10th, 2020, they end up trading Brandon Saad and Dennis Gilbert to Colorado for Nikita Zadorov and Anton Lindholm. You're probably thinking Zadorov was a Hawk. You probably forgot about that. Yep. Didn't do much with the Hawks, I'm going to be honest. He did not play phenomenally with the Hawks, but still would like to have him around now. April 8th, 2021, they trade defenseman Lucas Carlson, Lucas Wallmark, for Brett Connolly, Riley Stillman, Henrik Borgstrom in a seventh. Borgstrom's a bust. Connolly's a cap dump. Stillman's in Buffalo. I know he was in Vancouver. I think he's in Buffalo now. I think he might have went somewhere else. And a seventh. That right there is a move you do when you're just acquiring cap space for another team. The problem was Borgstrom didn't develop, and that seventh doesn't turn into anything. Stillman doesn't turn into anything. You get nothing for taking on that space. April 12, 2021, Matthew Highmore is traded to Vancouver for Adam Gaudette. Highmore's still on a roster. Gaudette's in the minors. April 12, 2021, they trade Matthias Janmark in a fifth to Vegas for a second and a third. Janmark had a good run in Chicago. I remember that first half of the season, he was phenomenal. He was on a 20-goal pace, and they ended up selling high on Janmark. April 12th, they trade Carl Soderberg to Colorado for Ryder Rolston and Josh Dickinson. Those are two things that end up becoming nothing. April 12, 2021, they trade Madison Bowie in a fifth for a fourth. Nothing there. July 12, 2021, they trade Duncan Keith to Edmonton for Caleb Jones, a conditional third and a second round pick. Or 2022 third that could become a second. It doesn't end up doing that. And Keith ends up in Edmonton, which was good. And then the recapture penalty happened, which they're in a rebuild, so everyone forgets about it. And to be honest, there's no reason to care about it right now. Overall, they dumped Keith's contract. They get Caleb Jones, who leaves for nothing, and a conditional third. So, I don't know if that third turned into anything. July 23rd, 2021, he does it again. At the time, this was looked at as, what the hell are you doing? Then, you look back now, this is 2021, it's almost going to be 4 years later. It's 3 years later right now. Almost 3 years, 3 years ago in a day, or 2 days ago. Adam Boqvist, Chicago's first, which becomes Cole Sillinger. Chicago's second, which becomes Alexei Helihamo-Salaman, I don't know. A first in 2022 are traded to Columbus for Seth Jones, the 32nd overall pick, which becomes Nolan Allen. And then he signs Seth Jones to that contract. That's why the deals look so bad. If they just got Seth Jones, fine. They signed him to $9.5 million. I mean, right now it's worth nothing, but in a few years, that's when they're actually trying to be competitive. That's going to be a burden, like no other. July 24th, 2021, he trades a third for a third, and then July 27th, and the last trade he ever makes on my brother's birthday, 2021, he trades Mikhail Hakkarainen to Vegas for Marc-Andre Fleury. And I remember where I was that day. I remember where I was, when I was, whatever I was doing, and that was the last trade he ever made, and he's gone. 40 minutes in, that's how much Bowman did. In terms of waivers, only notable ones, he declined arbitration for Antiniemi, he waived Cristobal Huet, declined arbitration for Chris Campoli. September 23rd, 2013, he placed Kyle Beach on waivers as he's loaned to Europe. Mike Koska placed Koska on waivers. He doesn't do anything. 2010 first-round pick Kevin Hayes opts to not sign with Chicago on August 1st, 2014. He signs with the Rangers. David Rumblad is loaned waivers to Europe. Released David Rumblad. Waived Jason Garrison, who signed with Europe. Carl Dahlstrom on waivers, claimed by Winnipeg. Claimed Nick Seeler off waivers from Minnesota. Trevor Van Riemsdyk selected by Vegas in the expansion draft. John Quinville selected by Seattle. Nothing there. If you want to go through free agents, the only contracts where I consider them atrocious: Seth Jones 9.5 by 8, Marcus Kruger 3 by 3.803, or 0.83, something like that, and then Brian Bickle 4 by 4. 3 contracts that should have never been signed. He matches the San Jose offer sheet for Nicholas Jarmelson. Other than that, there's not too many contracts where I can complain about. Nothing there. Overall, besides those 3, there's not much I could complain about. Everything is somewhat reasonable. It's those big trades and big moments when you're close. When he thinks we're close and we're not, he makes those trades that just screw up everything, and that's what put this franchise going downward. That Panarin trade was a sign of things to come. That sweep by Nashville broke Chicago. That's as simple as that. Hawks get swept. Panarin, Hossa, all of our first-round pick talents gone just like that, and we end up getting nothing back for them, which is why we are where we are now, trying to get back into the playoffs. Not this year, but tanking. We end up getting Bedard. Who knows what happens if we keep all those guys? Who knows if we win, if we make the playoffs in 2018, if we continue to stay competitive, if we're still staying competitive, if we continue doing good drafting. But, yeah. That's going to be all I have for you guys in this one. I just wanted to give Edmonton Oilers fans a recap of some moves that Stan Bowman's done to the Hawks. Second ever GM job, so we'll see how he does. If he makes it out, because Edmonton Oilers fans are not happy from what I've seen. I've been rambling for 42 minutes, and it's been a quick 42 minutes, I will say. I'm impressed I've been able to talk this long. But tell me down below in the comments what you think about Stan Bowman's hiring. Tell me down below what your least, and also let's not down the guy too much. Let's give me your best and your least favorite Stan Bowman moves, and tell me down below what you think of this move by Edmonton, because not a lot of people are happy, and I'm interested to see if people are. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, and I shall see you all in the next one. Have a good one.